Hello everyone and welcome to our Gem Pursuit. My name is Matthew Weldon and today we have another very special episode for you. As you heard in our recent episode, Murph the Surf, we were recently attending the original Miami Beach Antique Show and we decided we wanted to make the most of the opportunity while we were there. So in addition to recording a live episode about Murph the Surf, we also did a live recording called Tales of the Trade with two antique and vintage and signed jewellery experts, Michael Singer from Windsor Jewellers and Olivier Bachet, director of the IAJA. So we were super lucky and very grateful that Michael and Olivier found the time to share some of their expert knowledge with us. Let's get straight into it.
Is this thing on? Hello.
No, everybody's very
Welcome. Waiting for one of our panelists to finish his conversation. Come on up. I am going to thank you so much for coming. I'm really delighted to bring back to the stage Matthew Weldon, who is going to be moderating this discussion, and I will let him introduce his panelists. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Michelle. Good to see people who were around yesterday for our Murph the Surf special, and we were back today for a very interesting discussion, a Tales from the Trade. Obviously, we're at the original Miami Beach Antique Show. Lots of different antique stands here, and I'm joined by two of the leading experts in antique, vintage, and signed jewellery on stage today. Joined by Michael Singer, Director of Acquisitions at Windsor Jewellers based in New York, and Olivier Bachet, the Director of the International Antique Jewellery Association and Specialist in Cartier Jewellery, and author as well. So thank you very much to both of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on stage today. So I suppose there's a lot of people here today. Sunday, there's a lot of collectors as well as people in the trade who are moseying around the show today. And I think the first thing we'd like to talk about today is just the stories of how you got to your position in the trade today, how you started, and maybe how you progressed to your area today. And I think, Michael, we'll start with you, if that's okay, and give us a little insight into your experience working in the trade.
Thank you. I'll keep it brief. I was born into a three-generation family business. It was started by my grandpa, who came from Romania in 1905. He was a watch salesman, and then in the early 30s, he started his own company on 47th Street. And for some reason, the Singer family were drawn more to antique jewelry than to diamonds. So we were really known for being the people to go to if you had a beautiful antique. And that's what we did. And our family business just grew. And then we acquired a bunch of antique stores in San Francisco, St. Louis, Missouri, and Washington, D.C. And my wonderful cousin Diana, D&E Singer, still in the business. We're good friends. And so I started learning about antique jewelry when I was 18, just in my father's company.
And Olivier, obviously you're based in Paris and work internationally.
Yes.
Just a little insight into your experience in the trade.
Yes, so I'm French. I'm coming from Paris, but I'm not coming from a jewelry family, from jewelers. Thanks to a friend of mine, I began in this business 25 years ago. And step by step, so I was a dealer. But step by step, I realized that I was more interested into the certification. I was more interested about history of jewelry, and so I built a company called IAJA Expertise, basically certifying the pieces.
Yeah, I think it's a super interesting area to be in because even since I've started in the trade, Olivier, the signed jewellery was popular at the start, but even in 10 years, it's become a bigger area altogether. But for someone who was listening today, maybe they're considering a piece of Cartier jewelry, why would they need to consider a piece that has a letter of expertise or certification?
Well, it's like a painting. If you have a painting by Picasso, the value is much more important that it's by Mr. Smith. It's the same with jewelry. If you have a Cartier bracelet, the value is more important than if it was an unsigned bracelet. That's it. It's as simple as that. Plus, I have to say, there's a lot of fakes on the market in general. So it's good when you buy, let's say, when you buy a Ferrari, it's good that you are sure you are buying a Ferrari. It's the same with jewelry. When you are buying a Cartier piece, I mean, you expect it to be Cartier, not something else.
Of course, when you're buying as a collector, it's super important to know what you're getting. But even as a dealer, it's great to have a certificate, even if it's a diamond or a signed piece of jewelry, for a letter of expertise, because it just shows your clients the importance of having the authenticity and that you take the integrity of the piece very seriously. So thank you for doing that work for us. And actually, Olivier was even able to tell us, we had a particular Cartier piece. You could tell us what office of Cartier make it, but also the particular year that this bracelet was made. So it was very helpful. Thank you, Olivier. So, and Michael, you mentioned...
I just wanted to say, in the trade, people say, do you have an Olivier certificate? And if they say, yeah, okay, then it's okay. I can't remember the name of your company, but it's Olivier. Do you have an Olivier certificate? Then it's fine. It's true. And it's a very necessary thing that Olivier is doing. For important pieces. On smaller pieces, you can kind of tell. You can tell by the craftsmanship. You can tell by the signature and if it's numbered and Cartier craftsmanship. But for an important piece, you need a certificate.
And of course, it's not just Cartier. IAJ do many different brands as well. So, and Michael, I'd like to pick up on something they said there. It's quite interesting as well. So, and you mentioned at the start that your family were diamond dealers, but were drawn to antique jewelry.
Yes, yes.
I mean, you started the business quite young then.
Yes, I went to college. I studied math, but then my dad wanted me in the business, so I worked with him. I worked in the stores. I learned the whole industry from manufacturing, from commercial manufacturing, because they had a low-end business, to our store in San Francisco, which sold fine jade, fine Burma rubies. We had a store about as big as this table right next to Gump's, the great jade store. And Diana's mother, Ernestine, sold there, and it was a fantastic thing. So I learned everything. And also, estates used to come in. So they used to ship it to New York, and I'd go through all these estates. We bought amazing things. We bought one set of cufflinks with 2 gem 3-carat Burma rubies, 2 gem Colombian old emeralds, 2 gem 6-carat Alexandrites Russian. I've never seen anything like it. I'll never see anything again. And everything that I've ever seen since then has been in connection with that lot of cufflinks that we bought in 1986 in San Francisco. So we really saw it all.
In all that time that you've been dealing then, is there a piece that stands out to you as something, a really special one that you bought or something that you found maybe? I know you can't disclose specific names and details.
No, I'm gonna give names. What the heck? My father decided he wanted to throw me in the water to see if I could swim. So when I was 24, I went to the auctions in Geneva. And before I did, our friend Abe Nasi taught me how to recognize Burma rubies and Kashmir sapphires and Burma sapphires. And by the way, his sons are right here. They're good family friends. They're a wonderful family. And I'm sitting at a table, and I hear 2 Italian gentlemen speaking in Italian, and I don't understand Italian, but they're talking Burma, Kashmir, Kashmir, Burma. I didn't have to speak Italian to understand that. And they're looking at a Russian bracelet with like a 10, 15 carat gem cabochon sapphire. And so I look at it, and remembering fresh what Abe Nasi taught me, I said, oh my God, this is a screaming sapphire, a Kashmir sapphire. Now, when you're young, you don't know that you can make mistakes. By the way, this was not a mistake. When you're young the first time, you don't make a mistake. It's the next time when you spend $1 million that you make the mistake. But the first time when you buy it, it's beginner's luck. And sitting at the same table was a young gentleman named Peter Fisher, of the Fisher family that I do business with. And he saw it, and we looked at each other, and then we walked around the corner, and he said, I want to buy this, and I said, yeah, I want to buy this, so we bought it together. And as it is, we bought it for $28,000, which was cheap even then, but there wasn't a certificate on it. Now, we could have been wrong. At that time, if we paid $28,000 for a Ceylon stone, it was worth maybe $15,000. Okay, but we were not wrong. We took it back to New York. We gave it to Cap Beasley of the original American, what is it called? American Gem Labs.
Oh, a gem.
And he gave us the first cashmere sapphire certificate he had of classic cashmere.
So you spotted this stone on the table.
Yes.
Do you think that someone who's starting out can you learn how to assess gemstones and spot the different
Absolutely.
origins? Or is it an innate
The
skill?
most important thing to do is to have an eye to discern what's good. Out of 100 pieces, there's not enough time to look at 100 pieces. You have to just, and it doesn't have to be signed. It's very rare for dealers to buy signed pieces. They're so expensive. But there's beautiful, beautiful pieces that are not signed. And so you have to see, this craftsmanship is just unbelievable. I don't care whether it's signed or not, because that you can find. And then there's the tricks. Sometimes there are pieces that are Cartier or are Boivin and everything, but they're not signed. And you can find out later. I've done that too. That requires experience, and you can make mistakes. I've made mistakes, and it's come out good. I've had both experiences.
Well, Michael, thank you for sharing that story
Okay.
with us. And I think even in this room today, there's a lot of people who are looking at all the sapphires and they're hoping to find a cashmere sapphire. And to actually have that story in your locker, you already have it. I think it's really, really super. And a lot of people spend time.
It happens all the time.
I wish it happened to me more often, but
Oh, no, it happened in a tiny Greenwich auction 6 years ago. There was a beautiful 20-carat cabochon that somebody bought really cheap, and it was cashmere. They'll be gloating about that for the rest of their lives. But, it happens. It happens. It's nothing but hard work and knowledge.
And speaking of hard work and knowledge, Olivia, I'd like to just come back to a couple of things we were talking about there just a minute ago. So, Sunday afternoon, as we mentioned at the start. So a lot of people today, they might be starting out in their jewellery collection. They might be wanting to invest in their first piece, perhaps a signed piece, perhaps not. But if they were looking at a piece of Cartier jewellery, and I'll do that just because it's your particular specialisation, what tips would you give to someone who wanted to start out looking at signed Cartier jewellery?
You mean as an investment?
As an investment and hopefully to wear
Well,
a bit in between.
First of all, I would focus on a piece that looks like Cartier. Maybe when you have a long experience, you are trying to find a very specific piece or very original. But at the beginning, I would try to focus on what looks like Cartier, actually. I made a comparison with the cars, with a sports car. If you are rich enough to begin a collection of sports car, if you want a Ferrari, if you want to begin with Ferrari, you want it to look like a Ferrari, your car, not like something else. And I would say the same for Cartier, because Cartier, especially with Cartier, which is really, really specific. With certain design, with it's you can if you have a good knowledge about Cartier, you can recognize immediately, almost immediately, if the piece is by Cartier or not. Cartier was almost the only brand with a design studio inside the walls of the company. Most of the time, especially in Paris, even the big brands, they were not designing their own jewelry. They were going here and there in the workshops, and they were buying the design on catalogs. It's not the case with Cartier. Cartier, since the opening of the famous store, Rue de la Paix, they had their own design studio. So with a very, very specific design.
And of course, you've done, I think, 2 books on Cartier now, I believe, and you've been on our podcast that we've done before. And I remember you mentioned something interesting about that, exactly the Parisian workshops, and somehow it's very unusual to get a design center inside the company. And he said to me in the 1930s that there were, I believe, 3,000 jewelry workshops in Paris, and now there's 300.
Yeah, roughly. Well, roughly, yeah.
Roughly, give or take. But Sorry, actually, I'll come to that in just a moment. I'd like to ask you the same question that I asked Michael about the stones. When it comes to signed jewelry, do you think people can learn about it, or do you have to have an innate eye to spot the Cartier design?
Well, of course, you need a certain experience. I have to say the best is to have the experience of a dealer and a good academic knowledge. I'm going to give you an example. If you want to buy a VC, a Van Cleef & Arpels piece, and if the piece is signed Van Cleef & Arpels, but if it's a 19th century piece, there's a problem because Van Cleef & Arpels is born at the beginning of the 20th century. So this is an academic knowledge, you know. It's easy to learn that. You read some books and it's easy. So I think you have to have both, actually, to be able at a certain point to recognize the design of some pieces.
Just before that, we were mentioning that the number of workshops in Paris, roughly, it's about 10% of what it was in the 1930s. I'd like to ask you both this question, Michael. We'll start with you. You know, there's a lot of jewelry mass-produced today. Big quantities, lots of stores all over the place. But do you think that the craft and the art of antique and vintage jewelry has been lost? Or is there a place for this mass-produced jewelry? Notwithstanding you're an antique dealer, so I'm sure you have a preference.
That's a hornet's nest. I'm not going to answer that question, my dear fellow. I think that there are some modern designers who are incredible. I'm not going to go into that. Actually, you should ask Diana that question. She'll know all the great modern people and great designers. But some things have been lost, yes. Not just in jewelry, but in our civilization, some things have been lost.
Broadly. And of course, probably I totally agree with your point, there's a big difference between artisan crafted jewelry that's new and then mass-produced jewelry that's also new. So, and Olivier, do you think the same question I asked you?
Yeah, actually, I agree. I think on certain, let's say, to give you an example, if you need to restore enamel today, it's very hard enamel. It's very, very difficult because the knowledge has been lost. I can give you another example. In Paris, during the 20s, the 30s, there was a lot of box manufacturer. And it's very, very tough to manufacture a box, a cigarette case, or a vanity case. It's very, very difficult, much more than manufacturing a bracelet or a tiara or everything you want. There's none. It's over. Because first of all, it's too expensive. It's gone. I mean, no one is here. There's nobody to be able to manufacture a great box. It's impossible nowadays, even in Paris.
That's amazing. You know, I love boxes. It's my weakness. And the company I work for said, Michael, did you buy another box? We have this beautiful collection of boxes. I can't resist it because the craftsmanship is worth 10 times more than what you paid for it. Most of these boxes are going for gold.
Yeah, exactly.
It's yeah. So,
but it's
yes.
like a medicine. There's a good part, but there's a bad part, and a good part as well. Now, if you let's say if you need to have a heart surgery, okay. Nowadays, because of the technology, most of the time you go to see a cardiologist, and you can have an intervention. Easy, you know, through the leg, whatever. It was not the case a long time ago. Maybe the knowledge of the cardiac surgeon or of the cardiologist, technically speaking, is not what it used to be. But in a certain way, it's a progress. You know, now with laser, with a lot of things, you can do some very good things in matters of jewelry manufacturing. It was not the case 100 years ago.
I know you're both very, very busy here today, so really thank you for taking some time out to join us. But before we finish up, Michael, if anyone is looking to find you, and I know you also deal in buying entire estates, you deal in antique, vintage jewelry, director of acquisitions, where would they find you, or what's the best way for someone to contact you?
All right. I work for Windsor Jewelers. It's owned by a wonderful man named Paul Lubetsky, who I worked for quite some time now, and I've known all my adult life. We're one of the more significant factors in the industry. When we take in an estate, we go over every single piece. And I mean, if something's worth $1 million, we offer 900, not $500,000. We want to buy, and if we have to pay $1 million, we'll give $1 million. We need nice jewelry, so we don't mess around. And we're Windsor Jewelers in New York. We have a website, and we have a wonderful company. We got 25 wonderful young people working for us. It's incredible expertise. We have a watch expert. We have Art Deco experts. We have modern design experts. We're not open to the public, though, excepting by calling the company. You can't walk in. You have to call and make an appointment. But it's lovely people. It's like the totally right fit for me. I love my job. I love Windsor Jewelers.
Thank you, Michael. And Olivier, for yourself, if someone is looking to get in contact either with a specific inquiry or if they just wanted to get in contact with you, how would they find you?
I'm based in Paris, as you know, so it's not very easy for American people. But you can go on my website, iha-expertise.com. If you have a doubt with a piece, you can submit a piece, sending pictures, giving some details, and that's it.
And of course, they have on your website, and both of the
of course, you have all the informations on the website, the price and everything.
And your book is on there as well.
Absolutely. If you want to buy nice books about Cartier, you can go on the website and order it over there.
We'd encourage it. So. I just want to say thank you very much. If the gents have enough time, they might hang on for 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, you can come up and ask them. My name is Matthew Weldon. I'm the owner of Courtville, and I have a little booth on 1132 as well, if anyone is looking for us. So
And he's the most charming purveyor of antiques in the industry.
Tough competition on this stage, I'd say, but anyway. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, if any questions, feel free to ask us. And thank you
very much.
Again. Appreciate it.
Merci.
Wow. Well, what an episode. We really enjoyed that. It was so great to get the opportunity to go up there and talk to two experts in the industry, Michael Singer of Windsor Jewelers and Olivier Bachet of the IAJA. And you can get their contact details in the notes section of this podcast. And, thank you to the Courtville team who, were looking after, Elise was looking after the stand while I was doing that chat. Sarah is looking after the shop, as was Darcy and Fenia and Veronique, podcast manager and researchers for the podcast. And of course, let's not forget the organizers of the original Miami Beach Antique Show, in particular, as with Murph Surf, Michelle Orman, who put in a special effort for this recording. And last but not least, everyone who listened, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you ever have any questions or if you'd like us to cover any topics, just give us a shout and let us know. We can see if we can try fit them into our planning. And that would be great. We'd love to hear from you. You can get us on experts@courtville.ie. And let's not forget Ross Hannon, podcast producer with Tape Deck. Thank you very much. Until the next time, from me, your host, Matthew Weldon, all the best.